Okay, so now you've had your break, you should be all ready and raring to go for your assessment workshop. This is your opportunity to really crack on and make some time to write your evaluative report as part of the lesson, and of course you can send me some drafts. I've made available some dummy marking ones which were done last year, so you can see a bit of what was good, what wasn't good and what was okay, and I'm sure that you can vastly improve on those samples. I would say there's 4 elements to this evaluation report. First is your introduction. What's the point of this? It's not a proper evaluation in terms of an events evaluation, but it's certainly got its merits. It's evaluation of the planning stages in a way, and what have you learned? And hopefully we've got some feedback from me, but also perhaps from Jamie too, to give you some thoughts on how you might improve it. So your introduction needs to share that. It needs to write down your objectives, your aim and objectives. So the aim is really to look at good practice, look at what you've learned from the event and develop that. And as part of your objectives, I would think about looking at other people's presentations and look at what you learned from theirs. Perhaps you can learn just as much from perhaps a presentation that wasn't as good as yours as you can from one that was better. And for most of you, there will be presentations that were better and there will be presentations that weren't better. So you can look at those, and as I say, you've got my feedback and hopefully some feedback from Jamie, even if that's been verbal rather than in writing. The second element is this sort of preparation evaluation. So evaluating the preparation. What have you learned from all of this? So looking at other people's presentations, looking at your own again in the cold light of day. What would you say? How would you change it? How would you change the preparation and the actual, what the event was going to be all about? Would you completely overhaul it, or would you just tweak it here and there? And also, how about the actual presentation? What were the skills like? When you look back on yourself, it's quite hard to watch yourself back, but it's a good tool to really think about, perhaps you didn't come across very well or very positively, perhaps you didn't sell your USP very well, perhaps you weren't positive enough or dynamic enough, perhaps it was really tricky to do it because the people you were working with, you were all in 3 completely different places or more. And then your conclusions, which are of course going to really include your recommendations for the future of the project and what you would do differently and what you've gained from it all. So that's really the evaluation. So as I say, if you do want to send me your drafts, you can, and I've also made available other people's work. So as I've put here, the good, the bad and the ugly. You can have a look and try and decide which was which, and I will make sure you can actually see the feedback for those students in next week's class as well. So have a look at those as part of the assessment workshop, then start to structure your report, and at some point think about sending me a draft before the actual final submission, and I will try and get feedback to you fairly promptly.